baby. I hope everybody is having a great Saturday so far and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another spectacular episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say stories come in all shades. And I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I'm so crazy about. Like I said, I hope you're having a super awesome weekend so far, and thanks for joining me. Make sure that you give ECAM permission and to pull your information so I can give you a shout out. You know the drill. Jump on, say hey, let me know where you're tuning in from, and just let me know that you are out there. Again, I appreciate you so much for joining me, as always. Make sure that you connect with me in the Facebook group community. It's popping, growing, having a lot of fun. Make sure you hop on over to facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. Join us. We're having some interesting conversations, sharing industry news. A lot's going on in the animation industry for sure. And just having all around fun. Again, like I said, we broadcast, of course, live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, so you can check us out at any of those places, and appreciate if you do, for sure. As always, like I said, I always love for to hear from the viewers and everything, so make sure you connect with me on all my social channels there. You can find me, connect with me. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think of the show. Any particular guests that you may want me to try and get on. Like I said, we're working very hard to get a super spectacular guest on the show. And any feedback from you is definitely welcome, for sure. Like I said before, we broadcast live to YouTube, LinkedIn, and, all the Facebook pages and groups. But I always highly recommend people jump on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment, give a thumbs up, because it definitely helps. Let me know that you're enjoying the episodes and the content going up there. You can also check out all the other great guests that we've had on the show. So hop on over to youtube.com/Don Terrell and subscribe. Join us over there as well. Man, we got some great engagement so far. I appreciate LinkedIn user Latoya Smith from Ohio. Oh man, Ohio. Let me know where in Ohio. You know, I'm a Buckeye myself, Sandusky resident. Love my Sandtown fans and Ohio Buckeye fans and Ohioans. So let me know where you're, where in Ohio, Latoya, you are from, for sure. Joy, I'm apologize if I'm hacking up the name. Joy Yaya. I'm not even going to try it. Echoes, I appreciate it. From Canada, our neighbor up the way there. Hopefully you got some good weather up there as well. Mr. Kenny D, I appreciate you as always, savoring the flavor for sure. I appreciate that. You tuning in and supporting the show. My brother from right down the street, Sugarland. No, for sure. Appreciate that. Yes. Miss Aaliyah Hammer, appreciate you tuning in as well. It's always a joy getting new people. I've connected with her on the Afro Animation Summit. She attended a couple of days ago. It was a great summit. So super looking forward to maybe trying to get Keith on and, have him on, talk about the summit and everything. So if he catches it, Keith, love to have you on the show. But it was a great summit. It really was. A lot of great information and panels and guests on for sure. Appreciate you tuning in. Not exactly sure because I'm not in the broadcast on LinkedIn. I'm just watching to make sure it's playing on LinkedIn, so I'm not seeing the names. But let me know who your name, so I can give you a shout out there. Hoping you're safe and healthy this time. I am. Hope you are as well. But enjoy the show. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and supporting the show as always, for sure. Let's see what else, man. Like I said, a lot of stuff's happening, going on. One with the show, and again, just in the industry, a lot of stuff's going on, for sure. Like I said, working on getting some big sponsors for the show. But if you are so inclined on supporting the show and the channel, and the content that I'm putting up, hey, I love a great cup of coffee. Buy me a cup of coffee. You know, it only costs a couple of bucks unless you're getting it from Starbucks. It may cost you a little bit more, but I appreciate any support for the show because it helps me to continue to bring all this great information, all these great speakers and talented people and guests on the show, my friends on the show. So I appreciate any help that you are so inclined. Like I said, super been enjoying bringing the show. Season 2 is just kicking off to an amazing start. We're having a lot of great guests on the show, and just I'm having a lot of fun bringing this show to you, and looking forward to, like I said, some amazing guests coming on. Always kind of like to show just a little bit behind the scenes of how I put this stuff together. Maybe interesting to you. So, without any further ado, I think I got everything out the way there, and we can get ready to dive into this episode. I hope you are super excited as I am. Mr. Raul, appreciate you, brother, from over in the islands. Hope you're doing well, man, Irie. Appreciate that. But like I said, I hope you are as excited as I've been to get for my next guest. Like I said, been looking so forward to having him on, sitting down, talking about everything that he's doing and that his company is doing over, in the motherland in Africa. Like I said, with the summit, one of the panels that they have was African creators, and a lot of great things are going on with studios over here, such as Disney and Warner and some of the other studios now starting to go over and partner with companies and studios over there and in other countries and continents to bring more diverse stories. So you can't be any more excited than about that. So like I said, super looking forward to everything that's going on. And like I said, without further ado, let's dive in and have some fun, Mr. Kenny. Yeah, maybe a little bit more, depending on what kind of drink you get, for sure. But a minimum $5 at Starbucks. So like I said, $5. Hey, $5 for coffee goes a long way with helping the show. So, like I said, if you're inclined, I love a great cup of coffee. Buymeacoffee.com/Don Terrell. All right, my next guest. He is a visionary entrepreneur with interest in the art, technology, education, and human capacity development. He is an alumnus of MEST Africa, where he learned software entrepreneurship and an IGDA Foundation NEXTGEN leader alumnus for the 2021 Virtual Exchange Program. He is currently the founder and program coordinator of AfricaComicade, a platform that celebrates the African creative community, showcasing their works, connecting them to opportunities for collaboration, jobs, skills acquisition, and funding. Please, everybody, help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Michael Oscar. Michael. Oh man, I appreciate you so much, brother, joining me for the show and having a little sit down and powwow and chop it up about what's going on over in the motherland country. Because, like I said, for what I've seen from the summit and just the speakers there, there's a lot happening that's starting to happen over in the country there. Or I keep saying countries, continent, Africa. Yeah,
Yeah.
continent over in the continent Africa there. But there's a lot going on and happening, and a lot of great creators are starting to come out of there. Let's get it kicked off. Are you starting to see the same thing? A lot of studios now are starting to come over there and really start to work with the um, studios over there and bringing out stories, more diverse characters and creators.
Yeah. I would say that. There is a it's really interesting for us back here because there is a demand for the African content. It's something most people are not used to. And so, from studios to publishers, distributors, streaming platforms, we're seeing this kind of partnership right now. And that's really exciting. And not just fixated on one side of the continent, basically across the continent. Last year, we had Amazon pull a deal with a studio in Ghana. We have a studio in Nigeria working with Meta right now, uh, and that's really interesting. And you mentioned that of Disney working with a couple of studios. So yeah,
Yeah.
really exciting time for us back here.
Awesome. Well, I'm curious, what kind of got the bug, started for you when you were young in, comics and animation? What was it that kind of kicked it off for you?
Well, I would say really I'm not a nerd. I wouldn't say I'm a nerd.
That's a
Yeah, but
good
then I
word now. It used to be bad. It used to be a bad word, but now I think
yeah.
people are embracing it.
Yeah. So I really love comics. I love cartoons. I love animation, anime, name it. I'm really a huge fan. And for me, getting into the industry started with realizing that we could actually do this ourselves. That's when I basically got into tech and I got introduced to tools for game development, tools for animation, and my mind just exploded.
Oh man, wow. And wouldn't you
Yeah.
know, we're having some scenes, so I know not to jump to that scene anymore. All right. Technical difficulties, people. I'm sorry. That's just the nature of live stream. My scenes have been kind of acting up lately, but hey, we're gonna roll with it for sure. Um,
Sure.
uh, like I said, what were the type of comics and animation that you were kind of, really watching as you were, coming up and growing up that was playing over there?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Quite interesting because what I've come to realize is the kind of comics and cartoons we were watching in, say, for example, West Africa was actually different from the ones people were watching in Eastern Africa.
Oh,
I know
really?
some of my East African friends mentioning Pink Panther, and I'm like, what's that? I did not see that growing up. But then I saw Tom and Jerry, the Smiths, Flipstone family. I saw Bugs Bunny. I saw so many interesting ones. X-Men 91. I watched all of that. You get the idea.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and even Francophone Africa as well now has a complete different dynamic. The kind of cartoons they were watching there was not really the kind of cartoons. So we were consuming more content from the West. And yeah, that was the kind of dynamics we basically experienced back then. But moving forward, it's good to see that we now have our own original content coming out to play, and that's exciting for me.
Yeah, yeah. Um, like I said, you kind of used the word nerds. Was there a lot? I mean, was the group was there a lot of kids as you were growing up that were really kind of interested at that time, or was it a kind of a small little following and then gradually kind of grew? That there were kids that were really into comics and animation and that.
Oh, I would say there was a lot. There was a lot of kids back then. Closing from school, even the local TV stations and all, they had the programming well set out for us. They know when we children were coming out from school. And so we know when our favorite cartoons are happening. And that's something I can say was common all across. So once you're leaving school, I still remember Fridays, I had X-Men Evolution
Oh
playing.
yeah, yeah.
Saturdays, the morning of Saturdays was complete cartoons from 9 down to 11. Man, our parents would be screaming, clean the house, do this. I'm like, please just this moment to enjoy life.
Yeah, I used to say I was that type of kid that, like I said, Saturday mornings, like I said, it was just such a big chunk of time. And I was one of those kids too that raced downstairs and got my bowl of cereal and just plopped myself right in front of the TV for the whole morning, for
Yeah.
sure. How were your, as you started to, kind of, show an affinity for liking this kind of medium, how were your parents, instrumental in kind of encouraging you, along the way? Or were they the, typical type that, I don't know if you should be, think this is going to be a thing for you, so you might want to have a backup, but,
Yeah. Even till now, members of my family are still like, so what do you do again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up back then, especially for us who are now millennials, like getting to that old stage of being a millennial, I'm growing up back then. Our parents generally had this concept that these things rot your mind. They don't make you successful in life. So from playing video games to watching cartoons, anytime you kind of do something and they're like, aha, I said it, watching cartoons, this is what it and then growing up and saying you want to start a career in the creative industry, which is just becoming lucrative, to be sincere. Because back then you do this stuff, it's mainly with, well.
Oh, we lost the audio there. Let me see. Can you mute it in sound? Oh, sorry. That was my mistake. We'll unmute. Let me publish this. Okay. We should be able to hear you now. Maybe not. Guess.
I think you can hear me now.
Now we can hear you. Sorry about that. Yeah,
Super.
I was trying to fix the one scene and had that. I remember that just duplicate. So we're going with it. Continue on. Go ahead with your point there about.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just recently the industry is becoming lucrative. In the past decade, we've had lots of stakeholders struggling, and so when people say they want to become a creative, people just take it like it's like you're running away from life. It's like you don't want to face the reality and become serious with your life. But so the support is not very strong for most creatives. But then I've come to meet creatives that really have supportive parents, and that's good to see. And things are changing, so that's also very interesting.
Yeah. So, what was your kind of motivating factor for starting, Comicade and really, trying to bring, youth and people, the industry, trying to really uplift the industry there? What was your kind of main motivation, and
Yeah.
how do you think it's impacted so far?
Okay. So for me, it all started basically with well, like I said, I got introduced to tech quite early. And then I got introduced to these tools for game development, animation, and all that. It was really, really interesting. So I was a games facilitator. I used to teach teens and youths how to build games way back 2015 at an organization called Center for Tech. And what was really interesting for me was I saw people really interested. You get the idea. People want to do this stuff. They've always marveled at these creations, and now we're empowering them to do it. But the big problem there was, oh, you're learning your child. A parent comes to you and says, oh, so how does he make money out of this? How does he build a career of this? And back then, I didn't really have a strong answer, to be sincere, because I was on the education side mainly, not on the business side.
Yeah.
And that's what really drove AfricaComicade. I had lots of friends who were also like working in the industry on the commercial side, but most of them were working on contract basis within Africa. There wasn't real full-time employment and all. And over the years, with the boom of the startup ecosystem, fintech, agri-tech and all, people that I know, that I even looked up to in terms of coding and design and life, started moving on to those sectors because they could earn a living. And so I realized the problem with the commercial value of the creative industry. And it's funny because you look at the numbers out there in the West and you see, oh, the industry is what this number of billions of dollars.
Yeah, billions of dollars for sure.
And then we're not even able to tap millions of dollars with respect to that. So that's what drove me into AfricaComicade. I went to study entrepreneurship at MEST Africa, way out in Ghana, and I decided to see how I can make creatives, support them to become much more entrepreneurial. And that's the whole idea. So we showcase their works, we support them, and we try to ensure that everything has a commercial side to it, because for the industry to grow, the stakeholders have to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And that has been quite a journey.
Yeah. And to your point, do you see, because obviously over here we're really starting to crave, diverse stories and search out, and like you said, over here in the West, animation film is, $1 billion industry. Do you see that the people from the continent of Africa are ready and ready to embrace animation as, like I said, a viable industry that's going to generate, that much money there?
Yes, I see. Yes, I see that. And that's why I am in this industry. Yes, yeah. So in the past, we've had challenges with being commercially viable and sustainable, because even when it comes to monetization from Africans, there's been a lot of barriers. Like, how do you bill people? It's just in the last decades, the fintech industry blew up. And now there's mobile money, there are payment gateways. You get the idea. So
Yeah.
back then, how do you collect money from even people who are willing to pay? Then how do you distribute your content? Now, Africa is a mobile first continent, and almost everybody has a smartphone. And so now you can make use of that to distribute your content and reach a large audience. So that is growing. And also the psychology. Growing up, my generation mainly, because of these challenges, we grew up kind of using pirated softwares, watching pirated movies.
We started off that way here too. So, you had to get some crack software or pirated movies for sure. So,
but teens are changing right now. The Gen Zs, the millennials, they're actually paying for software. And that's a huge mind shift, which means if people find value in what you're doing, they would willingly give you their money. And that's what makes our industry very exciting, because it's on tap, it's still new, and there are lots of possibilities that come out of it.
And I think also, along with that point, companies now are starting to offer free versions to creators to allow them to make content and get more content. So that's another bonus and plus that studios now start to see, hey, we need to get our software in the hands of creatives. They're eventually going to buy it if they start using it, learning it, and really start creating content from it. So it's kind of a win, a really big win that studios now are realizing, and you got a lot of great software companies that are such as Blender that are just giving, the software is free and you can do amazing things with it. So it really does put the tools in the hands of creatives there.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, because from what I've heard, it's also going to take like a portion or a part of the government kind of getting on board with really sanctioning a lot of programs and a lot of schools and things like that? Do you feel like that's another portion that's got to be, worked on?
Yes, I strongly believe that, and that's something that has been that has really slowed the growth of this industry in Africa. The Nollywood industry, for example, is one of the biggest in the movie industry, and I think it has been able to also grow because it has gathered support from the government. But outside Nollywood and the music industry, which is now recognized, the game industry is not recognized in Nigeria, for example.
Yeah.
Up till now, to be very sincere, the embassies from this foreign Western nations and all are the ones that have really been helping Africans. I mean, from what I've studied, you see the French embassy, Alliance Francaise, all across Africa through the embassy, through the organization. They get studios and sponsor them for festivals like the Annecy Festival and so
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah.
There's one coming up in Ghana next week, which is really exciting. Ghana Animation Day. And they're bringing people to come and teach the animators in Ghana and support them.
Yeah.
Goethe Institute as well, through the German embassy, has really supported the games industry, for example. There's even a program called Enter Africa, basically focused on the games industry, trying to support. So these embassies have been the ones supporting us, but mostly, especially in Western Africa, I think in South Africa, they are way ahead of the rest of us. They are way ahead of the rest of us. Recently, games became recognized as an official skill set in South Africa. And if you look at most of the events and activities that happen, you see some form of government support. But in Nigeria and in other places, the governments are just beginning to warm up to these possibilities. And I really wish they can speed it up. Yeah, because we have so many amazing talents, so many amazing projects out there. And when you look at the West, what supports creatives are grants. I mean, look at the games industry. Yes, we know of Activision and the rest. There are many more studios out there, and the only way they survive is on grants and stuff like that. But we are struggling to have that in Africa. Yeah. And we can't keep on reaching out, begging to the West to support us and all. We have resources as well within the continent. So if the government and other organizations can come together, that would really support. I know South Africa is way ahead of the others. I know Eastern Africa, a lot of amazing stuff are happening as well. In Ghana, they're trying to unionize it, form a body so that they can present themselves formally to the government and get support. So these things are coming up post-pandemic, but pre-pandemic, it was a struggle.
Yeah. And I noticed another thing from, a lot of the African creators that I've talked to, kind of another big issue is just energy and electricity. Because they're, not to say, but I know a lot of them were, trying to put battery systems together and things like that. So I know, of course, the energy and electricity over there isn't like it is over here, where it's just freely available. We flip on a switch and there's periods over there. So is that another part of the equation that's going to need to be met in order for the industry to really grow? Because obviously, as you know, it takes a lot of energy and computer power to really do these things.
Yes. That I'll put that under general socioeconomic issues. Yes, because it also depends. In Ghana, for example, there's power far better than in other places like, say, Nigeria, for example. Not to shade Nigeria. Nigeria has power as well in some places. So this is what we can just summarize this as is the environment is not very conducive. That's why you see when Africans kind of move out of their nation or say move out to study or so, you see they excel very well. And that's because we have this talent, but the environment doesn't really support us to showcase our work. Infrastructure, like you said, power, good road, water supply, internet. There are places where people pay more than $1 for 1 gig internet.
Wow.
Some people pay as much as $2, $3, $5 for just 1 gig internet in Africa, and this affects that productivity. You get the idea. So if everything was okay, if the environment is right, I think we would see much more growth. And that's also why some investors shy away from the creative industry, because return on investment doesn't come in immediately, and you need a lot of infrastructure to be set up. You know that, right? And that's really, really expensive. I mean, think about Africa. We don't. Let me not generalize it, but at least in Western Africa, we don't have a rendering farm, for example, in most places. So that means if you're rendering, you rely on your own personal computing power. And for those that want to use cloud servers, you rely on fast internet. And
Yeah.
these things these things cause issues. But you know,
well, and I
people
think
are finding
that,
ways.
like I said, I think that goes to kudos for a lot of the Western companies over here, like Disney and Warner, that really are working to get a good and better infrastructure over there, because they do realize there are a lot of great content creators
Yeah.
over there. So giving them the tools to really create is going to be beneficial, not only for the world, but not only for them, but for the world, just getting different stories out there. So I think, like I said, you hate to have to kind of like you said, go begging for help over here, but I think it's going to take a like they say, it takes a village to raise a kid. So I think
Yeah.
everybody needs to do their part to kind of
Mm-hmm.
help. And if they've got the infrastructure, the training, and everything over there, then that's something that they should definitely be putting out for sure. For you, putting on and putting together Comicade, what was the biggest struggle and challenge? I mean, I'm sure you had a lot of them, but what was your biggest one that you could think of that was just a tough one to get through?
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll focus on two main things. One is a no-brainer; it's everybody's challenge, and the other one was really something that stuck out for me and my team. The first thing is Africa Comicade really came out to the fore during the pandemic. And prior to that time, there was this conception that Africans don't have internet. Oh, Africans will not join a virtual program
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And then we were just like a bunch of guys from nowhere who came together and said, hey, this is the first time we train ourselves to the world. We want to do something that is truly Pan African, showcase their works, and it's going to be a virtual event for 2 weeks. And you're like, what? Africans don't.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Africans don't even have internet. Who is going to watch it? Who is going to do stuff? I can tell you, the majority of the stakeholders we spoke to, nobody believed us. Most people thought we wanted to just kind of like I don't know, but a lot of people just looked at us like jokers, like these guys, they don't know what they're doing and stuff like that. But then we had the first session, and it was really wonderful. 2020 was like a marvelous year for us, because nobody believed us. We had nothing. We were benchmarking on to say, hey, we've done this before. We had this. Everything we had done was limited to Nigeria before then. And we were coming out and saying, hey, we're doing something Pan African and it's going to work. And we did it. We had a game jam. We had lots of sessions, people from outside Africa coming to speak, and Africans watching it and asking questions. And that was really mind blowing. Now, the second challenge, to be sincere, has been funding. And this is something general. That's why I said it's a no brainer.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, so because I know everybody at some point or the other is facing this issue. Even if you have funds, you need more funds to grow.
Yeah.
uh, though for us, the main issue has been even funds to just like get things going. We launched as a community, and so everything we do for our community members. For AfricaComicade, up till now, we are not doing any personal content of our own. Everything we're trying to do is showcase the creatives within Africa and provide support for them. And that's really tricky, especially when you don't have any backing from the government or so. It's really political to get support. It's
Yeah.
very political. And it's also very funny that an organization that is trying to come and say, hey, we want to help creatives become more entrepreneurial, themselves are struggling. So
Yeah.
yeah, we, so I could clearly look at the creative and say, yeah, I understand your problem. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
but but yeah, we've gotten support along the way from really awesome sponsors. Even if not so much, a bulk of what we do comes from our own personal pockets, and that's challenging. That has been challenging, but we'll keep on going because I don't know how to put it, but I really see this start of something really big, very big. I know people are physical events are returning and people are going back to their spaces and all. But I see a very strong opportunity for collaboration across Africa, across the continent, and I see an industry in development, and we want to be a part of that. Support all stakeholders. We know there are challenges with partnerships, with collaboration, because all things have to balance.
Yeah.
But still, we are here to support the creatives, and we'll keep on doing that to the
Yeah,
best of our
yeah.
ability.
No, that's awesome. Again, everybody just joining in, make sure you chime in, say hello, sitting down and having a great time chopping it up with my friend here, Michael, Oscar, from AfricaComicade. And in a little bit, we're going to take a little look at some of the shots from the event the gaming event that he put on, and some showcase from some of the work. What are kind of the stories that you kind of hope to come out of Africa? Like I said, we're starting to see a lot of great shorts, a lot of great movies, a lot of great ideas come. And like I said, the Afro animation, they had a kind of like a mini film, well, not a mini, but it was a film festival where people could put shorts in, and there were some amazing shorts from some African creators. What are the kind of the stories that you've seen starting to come out from just your kind of circle and the people that you've connected with, not only in shorts but in games and things like that as well?
Yeah. I'm beginning to see a lot of people try to push the African narrative, and that's really exciting to see. And people are coming from different perspectives. Some are looking at the colonial eras, trying to tell this story through games and animation. Some are looking at pre-colonial eras when our ancestors were using sticks and fighting stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, a studio, G-Wave, for example, is looking at post-apocalyptic era. That's the future.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the world
yeah.
goes boom, and Africa is the only safe place left, and people are running to Africa. So it's really really interesting to see, and it speaks to the kind of diversity we have here. And one thing that cuts across is a lot of people are bringing that African element, and that's really inspiring. We really need that because we need our own people to tell our stories our way. There's something with this this is the West for when you have African characters. There seems to be a predefined way of speaking in Hollywood. You're like, your name is Oscar Mike, and that's not how we speak. You get the idea. So that's not how we speak. So
Oh man.
and a lot of people don't know about Africa. Some
Yeah.
think it's a country. Some think it's still like a virgin forest or something like that, where they're just extracting stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we've come a long way, and it's good to see that our people are beginning to have the power to tell our own stories, and people are exploring that in various ways, looking at the past, looking at the future, looking at the present. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
No, I totally agree. Like I said, over here in the West, of course, our narrative and our idea is shaped by what we see on the news or the
Mhm.
media that we kind of consume. And so, we've definitely, obviously, seen or thought a different perspective. I had one guest say, yeah, it's not all lions and tigers and stuff roaming around. It's not like that over here. Like so it's like, we got this. A lot of people have a preconceived notion, and it was interesting, like you said, we don't. you don't all speak like that. I know
Yeah.
one of the guests was saying, heck, in Cameroon alone, they've got 20 different dialects and languages that they
Hmm.
speak. And so it's a very wide array of just languages, cultures, mores, that type of thing over there. So I
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
understand that. Before we jump into showing some of the images from the event, Mr. Downtown had a question for you. Between Johannesburg, Lagos, and Ghana, which of these cities offer the best resources for animators in terms of education and programs? Which is a
Mm.
great question, Demille.
Okay. Yeah. So good. I think I have. I think I can answer this question fairly. Yes. That's tricky. But the first thing I would like you to know, I hope no one comes after me, is um, that generally we consider South Africa to be just a different part of Africa entirely,
Really?
and yeah, that's because it's heavily influenced by the whites, if I might put it that way. I hope that that's not wrong. But we have a lot of foreigners staying in South Africa, or the better way to put it is, South Africa is far evolved when it comes to this
Yeah.
industry. You get the idea?
Yeah, yeah,
South
yeah.
Africa is far evolved and mature because you have a lot of foreign studios based there, and the way things work out is really different.
Yeah.
So, if you are looking for in terms of resources and all, one of the best studios, animation studios in the entire of Africa, for example, Triggerfish, is in South Africa.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
idea.
So we get the
So,
idea. We get the idea for sure. Yeah. But
yes, but in Ghana,
it's interesting that you said over there you kind of consider South Africa, you know, kind of separate
yeah,
from
yeah,
Africa.
because they're like light years ahead of us in terms of this. They have more infrastructure, and like I mentioned earlier, there seems to be much more government support because a lot of people that understand this industry are living there. You get the idea, as opposed to here where we're still trying to educate and sensitize people like, hey, it is a viable industry. You see
Yeah.
the way the movie industry is doing. If we invest here, we can make as much money as the something like that. So, and if you look at Ghana, there are really amazing guys doing cool stuff. There's Anima FYXP. Those are the guys that seal the deal with Amazon. So
Mm-hmm.
you should know they have quality content. There's
Yeah.
Leti Art as well, and many more studios. In Nigeria, there are lots of amazing studios. Basement Animation, Magic Carpet. You should check them out. So I wouldn't say this is one good place also because even in Kenya as well, there are really, really cool guys out there. Like
Yeah.
so many cool guys doing amazing stuff. But all I can just tell you is because it's not just also going somewhere and building something. It's also about the community. You get the idea.
Yeah.
It's very much easier when you are an animator in the midst of 500 animators, as opposed to be you are one animator in the midst of four.
Yeah.
It becomes really lonely and so South Africa has a much more mature market. That's the word. Forget
Yeah.
everything I've said. Let's stick with that.
Mature.
South,
Mature. Yeah.
South
No.
Africa has a much more mature market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you, and I think from kind of the Western perspective, like I said, we're so used to that's the first thing, really the first place we usually think of when you say Africa, South Africa, Nelson
Mm-hmm.
Mandela, apartheid, that type of thing is what kind of
Yeah.
comes to mind. So um, I agree with you. They're probably way more mature, but I think now you're starting to see a lot of the other, smaller
Yes.
countries
A lot.
within Africa start to,
A lot.
mature and catch up to where,
Yeah.
it's going to be an even playing field for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a quick look at some of the images, and then we'll take a quick look at uh, video of some works of some of the African creators as well. Um, we, like I said, there it looks like there was some great engagement with just the students and people that you had there, and the speakers that came in. Really,
Yeah.
you know, showing that, and this is your team here that put it together. for sure. But starting to get a lot more of the technology, like I said, into the hands of some of the creators and really start to push the technology. Eric, it's interesting. Did you find there were a lot more boys than there were girls?
Yeah, we are not ready for that discussion. Yes. I think a lot of work has gone into trying to bring about representation. But it's also something tricky because I think we should focus more on viability of the industry and give everybody equal opportunity as opposed to focusing on representation. You get the idea. We have women in game communities. We have female gaming communities as well. But of course, as with almost all industries, especially with tech, anything tech, there seems to be much more men involved than women. So we look at ways to bring them. Right now, we're focusing on making it more of an open ground because even the men in the industry are struggling.
Yeah. And like I said, it's over here, women are still although it's growing tremendously, it's still a challenge with them getting representation and getting even more women in the industry, not just women, but women of color and different backgrounds in the industry. So, while it's growing over here, it's still a challenge even over in the West. Getting an even level playing field with everything. Before we jump into checking out the video, Mr. Downtown loves seeing the technology reach it. I do too. And I think that's where, like I said, the growth is going to come. Getting the technology, the software in the hands of the younger generation that have these ideas, these stories, and these things. And I think when they get exposed to it, they're going to expand their thoughts and of things of, wow, I could do this. I got this idea. I can start to create this out there. That it's you're really going to start to see an explosion of more creatives. Let's take a quick video look at, like I said, just a virtual, representation of just some of the work coming out of the country there. And that's such awesome work for sure. And that's why I think that I think virtual reality is such a powerful medium because it allows, like I said, different people to actually feel like they can come over and really get immersed in an experience over in Africa, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
going to a museum and seeing some of the work there, or going to a historical place and really walking around it and getting a feel for it. And it seems like, from the pictures that you showed, that virtual reality is really kind of a big thing, and started to grow over there as well. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, yeah, and shout out to Nairobi Design Week and Art Steps for allowing us put that together. So most of the artworks was from a collective of creatives from Nairobi Design Week who put that together. We used Art Step platform. So when you look at virtual reality, it's catching on. A lot of people are getting crazy about it, especially the techies. So the only challenge is the cost of acquiring the headset. I
Yeah,
feel like if it was cheaper, it would have gone mainstream already. But the cost is what is holding it back. So that's why we opted for web VR.
yeah,
That's something people can actually consume.
yeah.
So the main challenge here is the cost. If the cost was reduced, it would be mainstream because Africans we actually go to malls and pay to just have that experience. You
Yeah,
get the
yeah,
idea.
no,
So we want that experience. It's just
yeah,
the cost right
yeah.
now.
No, and it's kind of the same way as why over here in the West, why virtual reality, while it's big, it's still got a lot of room to grow because of you have to get the gear to really get immersive experience,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not like really cheap. But
Uh-huh.
even over here, it's not like really cheap.
So
But
imagine when we do the conversions. Yeah, it's like boom.
yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. But I think as obviously technology is going to push it forward, make, the headsets more smaller, like glasses,
Hmm.
just regular
Yeah,
glasses to get a virtual experience. The price is going to come down. It's going to get more affordable. But
yeah.
yeah, I definitely feel like it's got a great space as far as really educating people that may not get the opportunity to actually travel over to, say, a different country to really get the
Hmm.
experience of that country in virtual reality. So I feel like I said, it's got a lot of room to grow,
Yeah.
and it's going to get even better, which will allow, like I said, just the average everyday person to really experience another culture in another place.
Yeah.
Miss Leontine, I appreciate you tuning in for sure. Some great, like I said, yep, great stuff and great work. Um, what's been for you? What's been the best piece of advice that somebody's given you that's kind of helped encourage you along the way?
Wow. Okay. Let me see. That's interesting. Um, I don't think. Okay, this might sound off, but I don't think it's the advice that has kept me going. I think it's the impact of what we do. Because really, there are many times I've thought of giving up. Yeah, so many times. But then when we remember when we look back and we realize that, okay, we were one of the first people to actually do something virtual and Pan African. And it wasn't really like, people just picking the guys everybody already know and putting them in front, which is what is most common. Like the already successful guys are the ones that get the gigs, get the contract, get to travel. And we were actually giving indies the opportunity to showcase their own works as well. And the first year, we got sponsorship from just one main person. We had some other people come on board, but one main sponsor wasn't much, but we were able to give out about almost $5,000 to indie game developers. Up till the moment we did that, there was no really opportunity or funding for game developers on the continent. So we were like one of the first people to do that. And from there, boom, lots of people. Now we have programs like Spill Fabric doing co-production and adding funding. We got the first African game developer prototype grant by Games Industry Africa, and some publishers come after that as well. We have the Ombu Bundle, who was our sponsor, come with the Black Game Them Fund. That was really mind blowing because that gave a lot of people hope to continue.
Yeah.
And from there, from our game jam, we have three studios actually come out from the game jam. So they got into the jam. Some of the cash prize they won was what they used to set up their studio. And now some of them are even more liquid than we are.
Yeah.
So I would say it's the feedback that has kept me personally going. Because the creative industry in Africa is quite driven. There's very little support. And when the support comes, it's not now coming to us who are standing as organizations to connect and support people. It's going to the creative. And yes, that's what we want as well. It's just that it's a little bit of a struggle for us. But over the past year, since 2020, we launched a fellowship program. I think Latoya is on this call. At least the people who went through were able to get them internship. That's something that was not possible since then.
Yeah.
Shout out to Latoya for doing that.
Yeah, she's on here for sure. Latoya
Yeah.
B. Smith, hello.
Yeah, you get the idea. So we were able to get internship, remote internship, someone working from Africa with a US company on a game project. That was mind blowing for us. We've helped studios recruit, so we even understand that there is a talent deficit and we need to support that as well. We've organized programs around sustainability and circular economy. We've done quite a lot, all from our pocket, mostly, with little support here and there and in-kind support. And the feedback is what has kept us going because right now we don't have enough funding and investment. So for me and my co-founders is what we make that we put back. But we see what we are building and we know the impact it has on our economy, on our industry. So
Yeah.
that's really what has kept me going. Not the words that, hey, I'm doing fine. So nah. That is really what has kept me going.
No, I can totally relate as it pertains to the color of motion. It's just, the funding is always challenging, but the response that you hear back, the feedback that you hear back, that it's something that people definitely feel like is needed. They love the show. It really, encourages me to keep going. That
Yeah.
eventually the funding and just everything is going to fall into place. So I definitely understand when you're saying that it's a challenge for sure. Maya Miko is here as well. Our first
Yes.
intern from the. Glad you are coming on to support your man Michael. I hope that you become a family member of the Color of Motion because our goal, like I said, is to really highlight and showcase and support the amazing talent, not only here in the West, but over in Africa and other places that are out there, like you said, that are having just the challenge of not only funding, but just being seen, being heard, letting people know what's going on and to be a part of it. So everybody that's tuning in, definitely go over, and I'm going to be putting up all the information, but definitely go over to AfricaComicade Gamerine and support the creators over there, because that's what helps to continue them to give to the younger people and the other people, creators over there, so that it will become just a self-sustaining blockbuster Disney type place like over here in the West. We have to support the creatives that are out there. That's what's going to keep them going. Where do you kind of, the industry, as you know, is rapidly growing. Technology is growing. Where do you see the industry going, in the next few years, especially over in the continent there?
Yeah. Um, okay, that's a tricky one. So there is a big issue in the industry right now, which is also something experienced globally. So it's not unique to us, and that's there is this buzz and rat race for money. You get, yeah, and there's a strong influence from GameFi, blockchain, NFTs coming into the space, where you actually see even the actual game studios are no more even getting that recognition because people are suddenly rushing to do free to play games, play to earn games, stuff like that, GameFi stuff, and it's much more of like a rat race because we know that sector, the blockchain space, is not yet settled at least. And so there's this question between, oh, this seems to be an opportunity for game studios to make money,
Yeah.
but then it's like uncharted waters. You don't
Yeah.
know. You might just end up being an unintentional scam. You get the idea?
Yeah.
You might just end up collecting people's money. I'm like, okay, guys, you know what? I'm sorry, we are doing this project.
Yeah, it is still the Wild West there for sure.
Yeah. So, and it's a big challenge, especially for an industry that is just growing, because at least out there, you know, if Activision is and venturing into at least they have an established games industry, but we don't have that. And these guys don't see themselves. These new guys don't even see themselves as game developers, so they see themselves as GameFi startups.
Yeah.
You get the idea. So the future is quite interesting because of this sudden buzz and rush. So there is more segmentation. I'm seeing more segmentation happening in the industry. I'm seeing people trying to come together to find ways to move further. But what is certain right now, what I can say is, what is certain is there's going to be progress, there's going to be failure, and there's going to be failing forward.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people coming up right now might not go beyond 5 years in the industry. Some would go beyond that. But what is certain is right now, at least, if not anything, this new uncharted water, this technology, blockchain and the rest, has given the game industry much more interest because now more people are looking at it, more people are learning 3D art, game development, just because they want to look into that. So what that means is there will be an influx of money, there will be an influx of creatives, and we will move further, and eventually we'll learn.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like agree that NFTs, blockchain, metaverse, it's still so new, and people are still trying to figure it all out, and
Yeah.
it's still, like you said, kind of the Wild West where they haven't quite got certain rules and things in place. So, but it is exciting the things that the new possibilities that are starting to come up for content creators to earn money and really control their content as it
Yeah.
be, for sure. Like I said, again, for everybody that's just jumping on, tuning in, we've been having a great conversation with my man Michael, Oscar from AfricaComicade, and just talking about all things comics and Africa and the creators over there. Make sure that as we close this out, um, Michael, like I said, I've been so honored to one get connected with you in the first place and build this kind of friendship over time and really learn about what you're doing, the things that you're trying to put in place. And like I told you when we first met, anyway, that the Color of Motion is able to, help get your, get what you're doing out there, support you. We're always down for, like I said, we just love, really highlighting the all the creators out there. I'm a creator myself, so I'm partial
Yeah.
to it. So, like I said, it's just something that needs to be done, and we have to support one another for the whole industry. A rising tide rises all boats. Everybody, So
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much for coming on. Again, everybody, make sure that you check out Michael, you can contact him and get connected with him on all their social channels. You can find them Instagram at Conte Yote. I know
Yeah.
I'm hacking this up, but Conte Yote. You can find them on Instagram. Forgive me, my African brothers, if I'm hacking up the names. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Website, go over to AfricaComicade. Like I said, check it out. Make sure that you become a part of it and support it. Like I said, that definitely helps. What Michael is doing to really bring up content creators over there. The gamerine.com, jump on over there, check out what they're doing. You're also able to find them on Twitter, Oscar Mikey over there. But just get connected and really follow what they're doing and support what they're doing. Again, all this information is going to be on the show notes, so make sure that you hop on over to the YouTube channel. Check if you check out the episode later. You'll find all the links over there to where you can get connected with them. But it's been such an honor and such a fun thing to have you on the show,
Same
Mike,
here.
and definitely want to have you back for next year's AfricaComicade. Maybe we can do some type of live streaming type of thing with it. Would be great to do for
Yeah.
sure. And seeing how we can work together and just highlight the youth and the people that are out there that are really creating some awesome content. Like I said, I'm so excited about the things that are happening over in the continent. Like I said, while I know it's a slow process, because of just all the things that you're having, all the challenges that you're having to go through just to create. I am encouraged that creators are there and are not going to let that stop them for putting out, their content. Like I said, it's such a great time for content creators because you
Yeah.
got all these channels, YouTube, Instagram, all these channels to really get your content out there. And like I said, big kudos to a lot of the software studios now really adopting, giving out educational and free versions of their softwares into the hands of creators. That's such a great thing for sure. Um, Again, like I said, Michael, if you could hang out for just 1 second in the green room while I close out the show. Like I said, I
Cool.
can't thank you enough, Michael. One, for the friendship, and two, for being a part of the Color of Motion family and coming on and gracing us with your presence here.
Yeah. A pleasure. A pleasure. Happy to be a part of the family.
Everybody, help me thank Michael for being a part of today's great episode for sure. It's been a great time. Hang out for just 1 second, Michael, while I close this out and get a chance to talk to you. Guys, gals, it's been fun. It's been another great episode. I have so much fun doing these shows. I have so much fun connecting with so many talented people. I can't express it enough. And I think for me, the biggest part is just the friendships that I've managed to make and build while doing this show, for sure. Mr. DeMille, appreciate you tuning in. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I know Michael enjoyed everybody tuning in. Miss Aaliyah, appreciate you tuning in as well. Yes, I'm not sure the name, but thanks for the invite. Michael, it's got to be a student or a Michael protege there. I appreciate all of you tuning in and supporting not only Michael, but the show as well. I hope that you tune in and come back and be a part of the Color of Motion family. Like I said, I encourage everybody that is passionate about the industry as I am, and all are my guests, to be a part of the family. Like I said, hop on over to the Facebook group community. You know, like I said, everybody's in there. Everybody's getting connected in there. It's growing. And I definitely don't want you to miss out on all the things that are coming up, not only with the show, but a lot of the creators and people that I have over there. Latoya, appreciate you, Latoya, for showing up and supporting Michael. I appreciate you for showing up and supporting the Color of Motion. Again, I encourage everybody to become a part of the family. You know, like I said, we have a lot of fun. I try to bring as much value, as much entertainment, and as much fun as I can. And just getting plugged into all the different channels, you definitely won't miss out for sure. Like I said, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in today. Make sure that you tune in next week, because next week's going to be, you know, just as good and just as awesome as well. Super looking forward to my next week's guest, Miss Deborah Anderson, 3D modeler and artist and founder of Black Women in Animation. Black Women in Animation. She has a super awesome podcast herself. We're going to dive into that, but I don't want you to miss out on that for sure. Man, this time flies by so fast that, you know, I can't even comprehend sometimes. Like I said, it goes by so quick. But again, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you every next week, everyone. Cheers.